What's up, everybody? We're at you today with a daytime driving video. So today's topic, sorry it's raining if you get a little background noise, so today's video is going to be about telling the truth and not telling people tall tales that you have no proof of, or even stories that you have no proof of, whether they're true or not. Now, you can do whatever you want. Obviously, I can't force you to tell the truth, but just realize when you tell people something that you did in the past that doesn't sound believable, most people aren't going to believe you. They're not just going to say believe you. They're not just going to automatically take your word for it. So I've noticed with YouTube lifting, this happens a lot. Guys would tell you something they did in high school or college. It sounds impressive, whether it be, I benched X amount of weight. That's very common, that one. Or I used to be this big, or I used to do this, I used to do that. How many of us have heard this in real life from out of shape older guys that don't look like they ever lifted weights and they're fat, and they tell you that they benched X amount in high school or in college, and it just sounds ridiculous. It's kind of the same thing on YouTube. I'm not going to name any particular channels, but you know who you are. You've told us these tales. Let's take, for example, someone who might claim to bench 500 pounds back in the earlier days. Let's look at it logistically with a realistic, common sense kind of a point of view. How many people in the earth do you think bench press 500 pounds? I'm going to say less than 1%, for sure. Probably less than 1% of men, grown men. So if you take the total percentage of people, including women and children, it's probably a small fraction of 1%. So you're telling me that you're in the top 0.01% or whatever of people on Earth. That doesn't sound realistic, does it? No, it doesn't. If you bench that kind of weight, chances are you're going to have some kind of evidence of it. That's the other thing I noticed. All these guys, they're not that old. They might be in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Oh, they didn't have the technology to record or take pictures of the lifts back then. It's like, dude, before you were born, in the 1940s, 1950s, they had this kind of technology, and they have pictures of, look at Paul Anderson. Look at all the black and white pictures of him doing all these crazy feats of strength, and videos of him doing Olympic lifts. What years were these? So don't come at me with that bullshit that they don't have the technology back then. You're just using that as a cop-out because you really didn't do it, and you know you didn't do it. You're making excuses. Now, another example, I don't know if any of you watch Joe Rogan, his podcast. They had Theo Vaughn on. He's a comedian. He came on and said how he used to be huge and he was taking steroids, and then you could tell Joe didn't believe him. So he looked up the picture of him from that time period. Did not look impressive at all. Did not even hardly look like he lifted weights. But in Theo's mind, he was a fucking monster. That's a kind of false reality some of these people have. They did something, and then they extrapolate over the years to a false number or a false image of themselves, and their memory doesn't match what the reality was. I have a friend like this. He's a great guy. I would never say anything negative to him, but he's an older guy. He's in his early 70s now. Used to work with him, and I was into lifting weights. He used to lift weights. He used to be a gymnast, actually. So he would tell me numbers that he used to bench press, and I noticed as my numbers changed and went up, his number that he benched 30, 40 years earlier would also go up. It was almost like I didn't want to be outdone by your numbers, so whatever number you come up with, I'm going to beat it by 5 pounds, or I'm going to beat it by 10 pounds. So it just goes to show. You notice a lot of times you'll throw out a number that you lifted, and the person you're talking to has to beat it by just a little bit to sound like the bigger man or the more impressive guy. It can never be less. It's always more. Notice that. If you say you benched 500, they're going to say 505 or 510 every fucking time. If you say 315, they're going to say 320. They're not going to say 510. They're just going to say enough to beat your number. So that's just one thing to notice on people. And I think it needs to be said. Like I said, I've noticed a lot of people lie. The genuine people are going to say, I can't prove it, so I'm not going to say it. Like Cephas said, he was very open. I'm not going to say I did some X amount of thing because I can't prove it, which is how you should be. I could do the same thing. I could tell you guys lifts that I did that were impressive. But if I can't prove it, what's the point? You guys could call me a liar and I can't prove that I'm not. So I'm just going to keep to lifts that I have on video or whatever that I can show you without you being able to tell me it's not true. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Just some things to keep in mind. Like I said, this isn't meant in anyone particular. I mean, there are a few people that I have in mind that I'm not going to call out, but I'm trying to be fair across the board and not be, I don't want people to think I'm an asshole. Try to be as nice as I can because I want people to treat me with the same respect. But just keep that in mind when you make videos claiming you did X, that people are gonna likely doubt you if it sounds unbelievable when you have no actual proof. So I will see you guys next time.